decisions, great mound visits, great job not letting the best player beat you.
This one crushed, out to right field. And it's going to be out of here. Pennsylvania walk-off home run. Travis Devonic sends him to Williamsport.
With the 37th pick of the 2023 MLB Draft, the Detroit Tigers select Kevin McGonigal, a shortstop from Monsignor Bonner High School, Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Bryce Harper. Suarez delivers. Swing and a drive. Left field. It's deep. It's going. Yes! And it is gone!
Yes!
It is bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, his 10th career home run in the postseason. And he may never hit a bigger one.
All right, before we get started on the show today, make sure to go to delcobaseballnow.com and go to the store tab to be able to check out our new rope hats. We got rope hats for all of our teams: Central League, Interact, PCL, Del Val, even some of the border teams, kind of like Shipley, Friends Central, Malvern Prep, Devon Prep, that we're kind of starting to add coverage on. So make sure to get some of these rope hats before the season starts winding down to be able to wear them at your playoff push. But delcobaseballnow.com and go to the store tab. What is up, Delaware County, and welcome back for episode number 73 of Delco Baseball Now. My name is Brennan Ricciardi. I'm joined, as always, by Ben Thorpe. Ben, we finally got some good weather for games this week.
Yeah. I mean, it's been nice to have some sunny 70s, just being able to get out there, maybe shorts and a t-shirt. But yeah, it's hoping we can continue to have some nice weather. I know we got some rain coming in soon, but.
Well, as we said on the broadcast, I think we just have to do Bonner for the game of the week every week, because every game of the week we've had with Bonner has been perfect weather.
Yeah, that is they're I guess a good omen for us weather-wise. So we will take it.
Yeah. So I would say, like, calendar-wise, we're definitely winding down on the season. I think most teams are probably about, I'd say in the conference, maybe like 60 to 70% done their season. I think at this point we have a good grasp. Like, I think at some point on the social media, I might make one of those like bubble watch posts where it's like like literally right on the bubble, out, like whatever, and just put every logo of all the teams we cover in here. But I think, at the very least, we're starting to get some clarity on kind of like who we think is going to be, in the playoffs, who we think has the potential for deep playoff runs. A lot of conference races still up for grabs. I think maybe the PCL, I think LaSalle might run away with this one, but overall, in this, you'd think if you got a team like Haverford that's 10-0 that they'd be running away with it, but Radnor's right on their trail.
Yeah, that's Radnor sitting right there waiting for a slip up. I don't know how that would work exactly if they were both one-loss teams.
I was told that it's I was told you just split.
Just a split.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think if I was a Haverford player, I would probably say, well, if we tied and we beat you, then it's ours. But I think we both get it. But we're just going to keep pushing our Central League Championship playoff agenda.
Eventually, we'll hit a situation.
Because listen, this will be the year to do that. Because if Haverford goes 16-0 and Radnor goes 15-1, you can't tell me that you wouldn't want to see these two teams play again. Like, come on. I mean, obviously Haverford would deserve to win it, but also I think Jimmy Boyle would also take the opportunity to play again against them.
For sure. That's that would be must-see TV for a rematch. Also, if you go 16-0, like, I don't really think there could be any clamoring for a playoffs in a year like that, just because it's like you went undefeated in the league, you win. Like, congratulations. That's if they're both 15-1, different story. But
were you on the broadcast when I was talking about who the last undefeated team in the Central League was?
I was there, but I don't think I was on I think that was by the time David was there.
Yeah, it's been 12 years. Strathaven, I was in 8th grade. It was Kevin Mulholland and Strathaven went not only undefeated in the league, they were 21-0 going into the first round of the playoffs. They lost to the 19th seed North Penn, who ended up winning the entire state. So
how are they not the 1 seed at 21-0?
I think they were. I think the team had to play to get to them.
That, yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think they had a bye. I don't know what the system. It was 4A. Like there were
Yeah,
four
it's a little
things at
different.
that time. But
Okay.
all right. Before we get into the action from this week, let's hear a quick word from our friends over at the Substitute Teacher Service.
If you love working with kids and making a difference, then substitute teaching is the perfect job for you. Substitute Teacher Service is hiring teachers in your area year-round for all positions and levels. A teaching degree is not required. We provide you with all necessary certification and even help you to work towards a full-time teaching position. Great benefits, flexible schedule, a rewarding career. The subservice is hiring right now in your area. Learn more and apply today at thesubservice.com.
All right. Thank you to our friends at STS for being a great sponsor for us. Let's dive right in to the game of the week here. This was on Thursday. Rivalry week is the best way to put it. It was a rivalry game. Bonner 6, Cardinal O'Hara 1. By far the biggest crowd we've had for a game this year. I might even go on the record and say that might have been maybe 3 times the amount of people we've seen at a game, at least twice as many. I mean, it was a madhouse all down the first base line at O'Hara. There were people down the left field line. There were people parked in left field. It was awesome.
Oh, dude, all unbelievable atmosphere. Like easily, far and away, the best we've had all year. And I mean, that's no shot at anyone. We've had some tough weather for some of these really good games. So, but yeah, we easily twice the crowd we had. Maybe just maybe 3 times if you really count up everyone. But it was awesome. So many people came out. It was really cool to see. Like just tons of. It seemed like a bunch of alumni, like parents, families, like. Everyone was out just watching the game. People were staying around drinking after in the outfield.
Shout out, speaking of the alums, I saw shout out my guy Jim White, great shortstop from O'Hara. I think he was maybe a year below me. I think he might have been 2018. I saw him there. But yeah, I mean that's I obviously we don't want to toot our horns. I'd like to think maybe some people didn't know about it and came out because they saw us promoting it and saw it was the game of the week. So if that's the case, was happy to try and get as many people out there. O'Hara, unshout out O'Hara, not shout out, unshout out O'Hara for their awful internet service. Because that's not 2 game of the weeks we've done there where it's like you're watching pixels. The audio sounded good though, so I told our guy Dave Chapansky, if you want to boost your radio broadcasting resume, that was the place to go. Yeah. But all right, let's talk about this game here. I think the final score was a bit misleading because I think that this game was won, or I should say, really, this game was lost by defense because Adam Schreiber pitched really well for O'Hara, but there was the inning where it was almost like it was just a house of horrors. They had a rundown where a throw hit Michael Coleman. They had an error that should have ended the inning scoreless. They had a drop third strike get away from the catcher. And they ended up letting 4 runs up in the inning. And in a 6-1 game, that was really the difference there.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough one for O'Hara. I mean, we talked about I think I was still on the broadcast, but we talked about a little bit there where it's just like, in a rivalry game where you've struggled the past few years, it's been a little bit one-sided. Like those are the things that just can't happen when you're trying to pull and still probably pull a little bit of an upset. Unfortunately, they did. Adam Schreiber pitched. I thought he looked fantastic. And he just ran into some bad luck. As a pitcher, like that's kind of how it is. Like it's like one little mistake, another mistake, then you give up the hit, then you give up the other hit, and that's when the big inning happens. And it was they could have been out of there with no runs in. You turn around and look up, and it's 4 in, and that's a pretty tough deficit, especially with how well Johnny Ortega pitched.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for O'Hara, like they haven't beaten Bonner since, according to my research, since Jim White was a senior back in 2018. It's been all Bonner. There's been some very close games in there, but it just hasn't gone their way. But Johnny Ortega was fantastic. And, for any college coaches out there, unfortunately, Limestone University, where he was committed, is closing, so he has to find a new home. So, if you're looking for some pitchers, especially pitchers who get ground balls, Johnny's your guy because I'll tell you what, we talked to D-Bar and he was kind of talking about how earlier in the year they were having some struggles defensively, but that was not the case in this game whatsoever. He trusted his defense. They turned 3 double plays in this game, and they were really the difference. When you think of Bonner, usually you think they got all these bats like going back to McGonigal and Joey DiMucci and Mike Anderson, all these guys, but they got a really really good like middle and corner infield. Jack Redding on that double play, that ball was smoked right at him, just fielded it calmly. Sergio Hernandez, Joey Graziani, and Gavin DeRita in the infield. They played fantastic today, and they kind of kept they kind of kept their composure the whole game, and knew that Ortega only had one strikeout in the game, and they knew that they were going to be tested, and the dirt at O'Hara was going their way today.
Yeah, definitely. Saw a couple tough hops at O'Hara.
All for Brendan Till. Every bad hop went for Brendan Till.
Brendan Till took a little bit of a beating. I mean, hey, I think he
did well. Yeah, I think he only had one error.
One of the plays, but
yeah,
man, he was fighting out there with a couple of them. But yeah, no, they looked really good. I think that entire, from the lineup to the pitching staff to the defense, is really coming along well for Bonner. Every game they play, it seems like it's getting a little bit better, and it's something to look forward to.
Let's talk offensively. Michael Coleman had a big day, went 2 for 4 with an opposite field homer and a double. Gavin DeRita, 2 for 4. He had 2 singles. He drove in 3 of the 6 runs. Jack Redding also with an RBI single and 2 hits on the day. Michael Coleman might be my favorite hitter outside of maybe Brendan Till, and I love watching Jaden Rivera too in Delco this year, because all he does is smoke line drives. And we said it on the broadcast that if he hits a home run, you joke it's an accident, right? It's a line drive that he got under a little, or he just hit hard enough like that. That home run that he hit in that game, that might not have gotten more than 10 feet off the ground. Just a line drive that went over the left center field wall. And, there's a reason why I don't have the exact numbers. I'd like to think he might lead Delco in doubles, because all he does is just rip line drives.
I would be surprised if he didn't lead Delco in doubles. He is very pretty swing. It looks like he does not get cheated ever. Gets good swings off every time. And just really good approach. He's crazy numbers this year. He's up over 400 something. Bunch of doubles, got a home run now. And he's been great. I mean, we talk about our hitters of the year, players of the year. Like, he's played himself into that conversation after maybe at the start, definitely not being one of the favorites at the start.
No, I think when we went into the season, we knew that they were going to have some of that junior class step up for all the seniors. Like, could have been Ryan Friel, could have been Jack Redding. Like, we kind of knew, some of those guys were going to have to play at a star level. Mm-hmm. And then now you get the young guys like Owen Lockhart, who get your futures bets in for maybe next year and 2 years after as an offensive player of the year candidate. 3 lefties in a row in that 2, 3, 4 spot in the order. As a lefty myself, we'd love to see it. But yeah, I think and D-Bar said it in the post-game interview. They're playing their best at the right time. And honestly, this was a good year to have a slow PCL start, because outside of LaSalle at 8-0, there's no real dominant second. O'Hara is still in second place, and then I think Wood is in third. I think there's a very real chance that they finish. I think their ceiling is 2, but I think there's a good chance they're probably 3 or 4.
Yeah, I could see something along those lines. And it's been a weird year for the PCL. I think LaSalle's kind of been out ahead of everyone, but also not unbeatable.
Bonner almost beat him.
Yeah,
it was Bonner, 4 in the 7th.
Had them on the ropes a little bit. A couple other teams have been close with them. So
yeah, I mean, it seems like LaSalle's pumping 2 D1 arms at you.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be tough to beat.
All right. Wrapping up just this kind of game of the week here, let's hear some of our interviews post-game. We got our guy David Shapansky talking with Johnny Ortega, our player of the game, as well as head coach Steve DeBarberie. Take a listen.
Everybody, David Shapansky with Delco Baseball now, here with our player of the game interview, Johnny Ortega. 7 innings, 1 run. I mean, great performance for you, Johnny. How did it feel out there today?
Felt great. I mean, I was pounding the zone, my fastball, not letting up a lot of pitches. Got through the game pretty fast.
What was it like to pitch so well against a big rival, Cardinal O'Hara? You know, a lot of guys know each other on the team. So what was that like for you? A little extra juice?
Oh, it felt great.
How about your offense today? I mean, Michael Coleman, the top of the lineup, doing a really nice job at getting on base, kind of setting the table for you guys. What is it like to play with, such a deep lineup that I'm sure, helps you out on the pitching mound?
I mean, it's amazing every game. They just stay on top of it. Always great.
You guys seem to be playing your best baseball right now. You've won 6 of the last 7 games. I mean, what does it, when you look at the rest of the season, how much does a win like this do for you guys?
I'm brain dead right there. I mean, we're just going to keep winning out and see where we go.
All right, Johnny, question for you here. I asked your head coach, what was his favorite water ice flavor? So I'm going to tell you that in a little bit, but do you have a favorite water ice flavor? Are you a Rita's guy? Where are you going for water ice?
Rita's, and I'm getting cotton candy.
Cotton candy, good choice. You want to guess what Coach DeBarbery said?
I'm going to say mango or orange.
He said mango. It's a great choice, though. But congratulations, Johnny. Thanks. Good luck the rest of the season. Welcome back here. Time for our Coach of the Game interview, Coach Steve DeBarbery of Monsignor Bonner. First time that we've had a second coach be interviewed. That's you're a professional. I said that to you last night. How does it feel to get a big win over Cardinal O'Hara, and in a fashion that was pretty dominant, 6-1 when it's all said and done?
It's good. I mean, any PCL win is very good. To get back to 500 and keep climbing in the standing is going to be huge for us. We want to put ourselves in good position. I feel like if we can win out, which is very realistic, we can sit ourselves in a 3 or 4 seed and, sit pretty nicely going into the playoffs.
How about Johnny Ortega today, Coach? I mean, 7 innings, had just 1 strikeout, but really kind of induced kind of weak contact, was able to work out of some trouble. I mean, how much, we talked about injuries a few days ago to your pitching staff. I mean, how much does a performance like this do for your pitching staff, but do for your team?
Yeah, just missing barrels. That's kind of what we talked about. Didn't have to go in and strike out 10. Just miss barrels and get ahead, throw strikes, and make them put the ball in play, and we'll make the plays behind them.
Then for your lineup, Michael Coleman with a big home run in this game. I mean, Coleman hitting now close to 450. I mean, what does he provide for your lineup, and what is it like to coach a player like Coleman?
I mean, he's a stud. He's a dude. I mean, the answer right there, they scored 1, and we got a home run right off the rip in that inning right there. That was huge. And he's been swinging it all game, or all season long. I mean, he's been a catalyst at the top of our order. So, yeah, I mean, we just got to keep him locked in. His approach is excellent right now, and just keep him right there.
And then Gavin Dorita, a couple hits today as well. I mean, what has he provided to the depth of your lineup?
Huge depth. I mean, dropped him down to 6, but he hasn't taken it with any grain of salt. I mean, he's still going up there, getting in key RBI situations and coming through for us.
Well, Brody has once again stealed the show. Your son, want to say anything, Brody?
I love my daddy.
Oh, Rita's tonight for the team?
We'll see. Get some mango for the team.
We'll have a safe trip back, and thank you so much, Coach. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All right, if you were looking to see these game recaps a little more, or I should say these interviews a little more earlier on, you can head over to our social medias, our YouTube. We post those the night of the game, so I think it's been really cool. Post-game interviews, I'm not very good at because I struggle to sometimes think of questions on the spot, but our guy Dave, he's got like 30 questions lined up if needed, which is just unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a pro. I mean, generally, he's still in college, but he's a pro. He just, it's impressive. Like some of the stuff, like he'll ask me for like a stat line, and I'll tell him it, and it's just like boom, memory, and he has like questions, and, like everything off of it. It's really impressive to watch him work. Honestly, it's
also shout out our guy Brody for stealing the show again. Completely off the dome. You got anything to say? I love my daddy. Like, come on, you couldn't have scripted it better than that. What a beast. What a beast. I'll tell you what, get your futures bet in for 2038 Delco Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's going to be.
I sure hope we're still doing this at that point there.
That'd be awesome. We'll have to be doing this, though.
All right, so let's we'll move into, I guess we'll kind of go back in time a little bit. Bonner took down Lansdale Catholic, their first game of the week this week. Mike Klowatsky threw 6 shutout innings at 6 Ks, which really helped. And, when you're getting 2 starts and 2 complete games from your pitchers, that sure makes life easy as a coach. Mike Coleman went 2 for 4 with 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. Sergio Hernandez also had 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Cole Romano had 2 hits. Jack Redding, Mike Murphy, and Luke Alvarado had 2 RBIs. So it feels like this offense is back. At this point, I don't know if we'll see Corey Sheridan, and if we do, what role and what workload we'll see from him. Do I think this team is good enough to win the PCL without him? I do. It's a lot harder, but I think they have the upside, and more importantly, they've had deep playoff experience. It's just a shame to not be able to see him. But yeah, these guys are getting hot at the right time. They have some winnable games left on the schedule. I think they're, look it up here, I believe they're 5-4 in the Catholic League right now. So I think there's
about 500.
Yeah, I think they're 5-4. So I think there's a good chance we see them. I'll probably say maybe 8-4, 7-5 should get you. 8-4 will probably get you at least a home playoff game.
I would think so too. And they're definitely trending in the right direction. I think, we talk about losing Corey. That's a major blow. He's a Division I pitcher. We've seen him a bunch. He's really good. And also kind of being the senior leader of your staff, not having him, that really hurts. But we've also gotten to see the just pure depth of arms that these guys have from that. Like Danny Buckton, Klowanski, Redding, Ortega, we knew were good, but like those other two, Joey Graziani's thrown well. They have guys, and they have guys that they can get through a tournament like that. So it's going to be a much harder road for sure. I mean, like that's the most obvious thing ever, but at the same time, I think they got the guys to do it.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's move into some other PCL action. How about the boys from Carroll? 1-11 last year, 4-4 in the PCL this year. It's really been this 1-2 punch in the rotation of Mark Foner and Matt McGoy. And this week they only had one game, so they got to kind of split these guys up. And I would say that this is probably their best win of the year so far, beating Conwell Egan by a 3-2 final. Mark Foner went the first 4, allowing just 2 runs and a strikeout. Matt McGoy, 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, and a strikeout. He also had an RBI double. Nick Gilroy had 2 doubles and 2 runs batted in. You know, if the season ended right now, they would be in a wild card game. I think they'd be hosting because I think they're tied for like 7th, 8th right now. And they're getting Bennett Bishop, the Duke recruit lefty pitcher, back on the mound next year. So I think you got to tip your cap to what Pat Dunn has done here, no pun intended. And just say like, hey, like you went from 1-11 to at this point, like if they are able to get a bye in the playoffs, I think you're playing with house money in a sense because you have a lot of returning talent next year. And I think any playoff experience you can get for this core is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be fantastic to have 3 Delco teams in the playoffs in general. But yeah, I think they're playing way above anyone's expectations right now. And that's all credit to the kind of young core that they've had come in here. I mean, they've been, both Foner's been great, McGoy's been great. The lineup's done its job, and they're just getting through a really tough PCL and putting themselves in really good position. I think we had said early on that, like, you get to like 5-6 wins, you should feel pretty good about getting into a playoff position. And I don't know the standings off the top of my head. I imagine Lancaster Catholic, they just got their first win, I think.
Let me see. I know Roman is not one yet. I think Lansdale Catholic has 2 wins because they beat Devon Prep today. For anyone listening, this is being recorded Friday night, so we don't have anything from the Saturday games. Also, this might be the first in Delco baseball now history, a Sunday afternoon conference game, a makeup game for O'Hara and Lansdale Catholic on the Lord's Day. I did not think the Catholic League would let them do that.
That's a little. I mean, obviously we've seen how the Catholic League may have changed from that, but actually I think so. Springfield Pencrest played on the Sunday last year.
Did they?
They did.
I don't remember that. Oh, game. I do actually. Now it's coming back to me because I remember just posting the one graphic. It's our only game of the day. I'll be at a doubleheader for our MSBL during that, so I'll be tweeting from the bench.
Oh yeah, I'll be. I mean, that's if we play. It's supposed to rain again tomorrow.
Yeah. Hopefully by Sunday afternoon should dry out a little bit. But yeah, shout out the boys from Carroll. I'm excited to see how it goes. I think if you win one of their last 4 games, I think you're at least making the playoffs. Yeah. Whatever happens after that happens after that. But all right, let's move in. Let's move into the Central League here. A no-hitter from Luke Hunter, who at this point seems like the favorite for our Breakout Player of the Year award. He's obviously got some time last year as a freshman for Conestoga. This dude looks like a grown man out there. According to my guy Corey Woodcock, who's an assistant for the team, he said 6'6", 260. I don't know if that's confirmed or not. He was listed on Perfect Game at 230. I'd say probably somewhere more in the middle of that. But for a sophomore, that's just silly. But he was fantastic. He went 7 innings, no hits, no runs, just 2 walks and a hit by pitch. He had 11 strikeouts. This was on the road at Marple Newtown. He this season, man, 23 innings pitched. He has a 2.4 ERA. Also been swinging a hot bat. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But we say at this point, it's becoming just a stock phrase for us. But what Conestoga has done, I don't know if I've ever seen a team have an 0-5 start to winning 7 in a row.
Yeah, they've flipped the switch and they flipped it hard. They look like a really dangerous team right now. imagine they're going to finish really strong in the Central League. Obviously, like probably not in title contention at this juncture. But you look ahead to the districts, and you're going to have them sitting in a probably lower seed just from the start. But that's a dangerous team with the capability of making a run.
Yeah. I would say right now, let's see. I think they are 6-4. I think they're probably going to be somewhere right around like it feels like they're going to be around the border of like hosting and non-hosting in that first round. Like probably, what would that be, like 15, 16? I think at this point they have some games that they should win in the second half of the year. So maybe like a 10-6 type season.
Yeah, they would have. So I think they would have to finish pretty strong to get into even into like the question of like hosting, not hosting. Because if I remember correctly, I think some of the other leagues like wins and that are weighted higher.
Okay. Might play more 6A games.
Yeah, I think it's because they're playing more 6A schools.
Well, they certainly look like they're on track to at least get in. That's all you can ask. Definitely. But they won that game 2-0. Luke Hunter actually drove in a run as well. And they also won their second game this week. They won at home over Pencrest 8-4. Luke Hunter doing it with the bat, 3 for 3, 3 RBIs, and he scored 3 runs, I believe, according to my notes here. Chase Ransonen 4 for 4. With an RBI after watching Blaze terrorize us in the Delco League for a couple years now. That's not necessarily surprising here. Shout out Max Brown, 4 innings with no earned runs out of the bullpen. These guys, they can beat you in a lot of different ways. They can beat you by outslugging you. They can beat you by winning a close, tight 2-0 game. They have a deep lineup. James Queasy's been setting the tone at the top of the order all year. They got Cooper Evers, who's been slugging it. They got Brennan Sora. Like, they got a ton of talent on this team. I wonder if there was, like, I think I've told this story. Like, we had, when I was a senior at Strathaven, we started 1-4, and for the sake of this program, let's just say we had a team social gathering to try and just because we blew a game. We were up 4-1 in the 7th, and I hate to put my guy Drew Robinson on blast here. Usually a starter came in the bullpen, let up 4 runs before he got an out in the bottom of the inning, and it was spring break. So we're like, we just need to reset here. So we had a social gathering, and I think we won, I want to say 9 of 10 games after that to get back in the picture. But sometimes you just need to kind of take a step back and be like, hey, we know the talent we have. Things aren't going our way. Let's, it's like in a playoff hockey game when the coach calls timeout, right? Let's take a deep breath here for a second, regroup. It's a 16-game conference season. Let's not let this get away from us. And, I don't know if they had anything like that, whether it be, just social gathering or more just conversations, but whatever they've done and whatever Anthony Greco has done has worked for these guys. And they got a big week coming up. They're playing Radnor on Monday, Lower Merion on Wednesday. Obviously, your mentality is you want to win both, but I think if you split those games, you probably head into the final quarter of the season feeling pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are two pretty big matchups against teams that are, I guess, as of now, ahead of them in the power rankings. So, you come out of there with the split, you feel good, and just let that momentum carry you. I think they've done. I mean, they've done a fantastic job after starting 0-5 and just keeping a level head and keeping to just go after every game, take it a day at a time, and it's really paid off for them. They look really dangerous right now.
Yep. All right, let's move on here. Let's talk some Haverford Fords. They've been having statement wins all year, but we always say you have to beat the best to be the best. Well, they crushed Strathaven 9-1 on Wednesday. We had some people asking why that wasn't our game of the week. I mean, a big reason was the rivalry with Bonner and O'Hara, but the main reason was I just felt like Haverford has been so good this year. I didn't really think this would be a great game just because of how well they've been playing with Luke Dancona hurt. And I guess I was right there. But Jimmy Boyle, 5 2/3, 1 earned run and 9 Ks. Luke Dancona had both hits for Strathaven off of him. For Haverford, Cam McCormick, Shane Durkin, and Jimmy Boyle all had 2 hits. Cam McCormick with a bomb. I don't know if you saw the video. You can look it up on YouTube.
No.
And I think Game Changer. We're talking no doubter to right center at Haverford, which is not exactly it went over the fans sitting behind the fence in right center, which is a shot. And McCormick and what's up?
What can you find it on?
YouTube on the Haverford Sports Media.
Oh yeah,
they streamed that one. The guys that were down there when we were doing it.
Oh yeah,
I think we've seen like McCormick and really all the Fords have been hitting well all year, but I've been waiting to see like that power come out, and it's exciting. But McCormick drove in 2 runs. Shane Durkin also drove in 2 runs. They really put in a full team effort there, and it was just super impressive to see how obviously Strathaven isn't as strong as they've been the last few years, but like you got to feel like for Haverford, like you needed to beat them along the way to kind of show like, hey, like this is our league right now.
Yeah, definitely. It's they're the 2-time defending champs, and I guess until that crown, until you can take that crown from them, they're still kind of the big dogs in the county, and that's exactly what Haverford did. They came in, they were the undefeated team, they're the higher ranked team. In my opinion, I assume yours, they were the better team, and they came in and showed all of that. I mean, that's definitely a big like statement win for them, and maybe a little bit of like a passing of the torch moment.
Yeah. My only real quick note on Strathaven is obviously the talk is about Luke Dancona being hurt. He hasn't thrown since the Marple game a couple weeks back. If they don't figure out their offense, then I'm not really sure it matters.
Matter at all.
Unless they plan on winning every game like 1-0 or 2-1 in the playoffs. It's just they lost a ton from that. Jake McDonough from last year, Matt Cain, Zane Malarkey, Will Thompson, like a ton of their core from last year, and they haven't been able to replace it in the way they want. So we'll see if they get in and Luke's healthy. Coach Brian Feely knows how to win close playoff games, so I wouldn't necessarily count them out. But let's wrap up the week for Haverford. Harrington gave them a scare. Harrington absolutely gave them a scare. It was a close game. Harrington was up for a little, but they came back in a big way. Shane Durkin went 3 for 5 with a homer and 3 RBIs. Nick Elvanian looks like he's on his way to a first-team All-Delco season. He had 3 hits. Jimmy Boyle and Ryan Cassidy both drove in 2 runs. Gavin McClafferty started this game. He was okay, but it was Rocco Keller that really shined. He threw 4 shutout and hitless innings in relief with 7 strikeouts, just showing kind of the depth that these guys have behind Boyle. Talk about a guy like Lucas Rothstein as well. I think with Cam McCormick, coming in when needed, I genuinely think they have 5 pitchers that they trust in any situation.
Yeah, they really do. I think, and those guys have came out and proven it. Gavin McClafferty's been really good for them all year as that number 2 starter, and today, or not today, but Tuesday.
I think that game was Tuesday because there weren't many Easter Monday games.
Yeah. So Tuesday, and maybe at his first slip up of the year, but that's where you turn to that depth that you have. Rocco Keller came in, gave them 4 fantastic innings in relief, 4 hitless innings. I think he might have had 1 walk. He was just really good for them, and exactly what they needed to get ahead and just kind of build on their lead in that game.
All right, let's move into second place Radnor, who is sitting at 9-1 with that only blemish to Haverford. They won a great low-scoring game against Garnet Valley. I think that game was on Tuesday. It was a 2-1 game. Austin Havertine continued just a ridiculous year. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 0 walks, and 9 strikeouts. Ben, in 32 innings pitched, that is now a 0.88 ERA.
Wow. That was we might have seen like all of his runs.
Yeah, so someone commented on the post and said Austin Havertine just let up 1 earned run in 7 innings pitched and his ERA went up. I'm like, you know what? You're right. You actually are right.
That's nuts.
That's got to be so hilarious as a pitcher to be like, man, I just let up that 1 run and my ERA is going up. But yeah, it was a good game. Evan Hartman had an RBI single. Joe Krasowski RBI double. A tough break for Ryan McGee. He threw well, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. He also had 2 out of his team's 3 hits, so doing it both ways there. Something interesting to note for Garnet, Chris Schaller did not play in either of their game this week. So I'm not sure. You'd have to think he's probably banged up right now. I'm not sure what's going on there. Hopefully we see him back soon because he's one of the better hitters in the county as well. So something to monitor. And, Radnor also got a 12 spot in the first inning against Upper Darby this week. They were able to kind of go Johnny Holstaff and throw a bunch of pitchers in that game. Matt Zacholski, John Belville, and Kyle Miltenberger all had 3 RBIs. Caden Zacholski had 3 hits as well. These guys, I think that obviously, we know Upper Darby hasn't been the strongest lately, but I think they needed that type of offensive game because they've just been, they've kind of been like what Strathaven's been in years past, where it's like, we're just going to overwhelm you on the mound and just kind of get some clutch hits. I think it's got to feel nice for their offense to have one of these games where they just slug.
Yeah, it's definitely got to feel good. I can only imagine it's been a little bit frustrating for the Bats so far this year. I mean, they've won all but one of their games.
Yeah,
and, so they've been scoring enough, especially with the pitching staff they have. But it definitely has to feel good to just go up, put out a 12 spot, and get in and out, and just go crush someone for once.
Yeah, and save all your arms, too as well. But yeah, I think Ben, we had said it before we were recording, is that if Haverford did not exist, these guys would be being talked about in such a in a different light, because it would be one of the better seasons that we've seen in a little while. I mean, they have a three-headed monster of pitchers that are all going to be, in my opinion, good college pitchers, and they're all having ERAs under 2 right now. I mean, as a staff, their ERA is just incredible, and they're 9-1 right now, so we got 6 games left. I think at this point they're in a really good spot. So now you're getting, potential bye week there, and you're going to be going up against someone's number 2. So I think they put themselves in a great spot to try and get some revenge after losing in the district championship last year. And it's going to be fun to follow these guys. I think at some point, so I was looking up their stats. Daniel Kells has only needed to throw 14 innings this year. I feel like he's someone that is, as the season goes on, that workload is going to, having him saved up is going to be huge. And I think we have not saying that we've seen the best from Austin Haverford team, but I think we're really going to see the best from Kellis as the season winds down.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I could see, and it helps. I mean, it helps having Haverford team just go cover complete games by himself. Ryan McWilliams has been great again this year. And yeah, that's really probably helped them, like you said, save some of Callis's innings, because he threw a little bit last year, but not, he didn't have like a full season workload as a pitcher, and that takes a little bit of time to adjust to. So, now you've got him, the weather's getting warmer, that fastball is going to start humming a little bit, and you can kind of let him loose now. So it's going to be exciting to see what he does, and I'm excited to see just what the rest of that staff does. I mean, we've seen Havertine, we've seen McWilliams. We know what they can do, especially in playoff scenarios. And Blake Havertine's supposedly been doing a lot better. Well, not doing a lot better, but it's kind of broken out this year. I forget what Stracholski threw against Upper Darby. Always is it Caden?
Yeah, Caden.
Yeah, he apparently saw kind of some of his numbers from that game. They got a really good staff that's ready to go out and win a district.
I think they might. To be honest, I think they could be better next year. I know they're losing McWilliams, but they seem like they have a lot of young guys that are in the works coming up. And I genuinely think that they, having Havertine and Kellis as seniors and having Caden Zacholski come up, who knows? They're going to be losing some offensive pieces. But all right, let's move into, how about the boys from Ridley? We know that the tribe mentality, these guys are always battling. You texted me at some points they're just destined to go exactly 8-8 and make the playoffs as one of the last teams in, and just give someone fits. They almost upset North Penn on the road last year. It really doesn't matter who they lose. These guys have not missed the playoffs literally since I was a senior, and they were not very good that year. But I think when they came up in 2018, that kind of started their momentum to just completely, making a very, very solid program. Tom Carey's done a great job. Springfield, Ben, your Cougars almost got them. They were up 2-1 in the 7th, but Ridley scored 5 in the top of this in the 7th inning. Jake Mansfield, complete game in that one. Bobby Doherty, hit by pitch, tied the game. Jake Mansfield actually worked a walk to take the lead, and then Aiden Wong had a 2-run double to kind of blow it open. But I think the real big win for them this week was the Marple game. They won that one 5-3. Brendan Soper threw 5 1/3 with 2 earned runs. Shout out Bobby Doherty committing to Widener. I saw that. It's a quick trip down 95 from Ridley to go there. 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs against Marple. John Tian with 1 2/3 to close it out. I think these guys, and I hope they take this in a respectful way. They're not always the best on paper compared to how well they play. And I think that just goes to the culture they've built of just a bunch of grinders. And, if you look at that roster, I think John Tien is, outside of Bobby Doherty, the only other, at least currently committed player to be playing in college. If Jake Mansfield's committed, I must have missed it. But, they just find ways to win games.
I think that's right. I haven't seen any of the other guys committed, but yeah, that's just what they do. They find a way, and sometimes every once in a while they're going to get a little bit that kind of on paper matchup's going to be a little bit too much, but they're going to make it close. They're going to fight. They're going to be just really hard to beat, and just like clockwork, they're going to end up in the playoff picture. It's just always how it is. And they're going to be in it until the final day. I imagine that's what they do. I think at this point we're very used to seeing that, and it's nothing but a compliment to just what they've been able to build with that program, and year in, year out, no matter the talent level you have, like just to be able to go in and fight and compete, it says a lot to both coaches and the kids on that team.
Yeah, and especially in an area that gets crushed by the private schools.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about that a lot. Guys go to Bonner, and for the record, not criticizing anybody, just stating facts. A lot of guys go to Bonner, Haverford School, Episcopal, whatever, Malvern, whatever it may be, and they do a good job at recuperating there. All right. Well, speaking of those Interact schools I just named, we had an awesome game with the Haverford School and Episcopal on Tuesday. It was a 10-7 final, but it was 1-0 through 3 innings. Will Cohen had an RBI triple, and then Logan Carell, who started for Episcopal, homered to right to take the lead 3-1. But then future Delco Baseball now intern Pat White launched a grand slam to make it 5-3 Haverford. But then Spencer Shue homered in the top of the 5th to come back and make it 5-5. This game had it all. And then Logan Carell and Reggie King both drove in runs. But then with 2 outs and 2 on, Jaden Rivera, 2-run single to tie it up at 7-7. So take a deep breath, pause. We go into the 7th. We're tied at 7-7. Episcopal, their first 2 hitters in the top of the 7th got out. So now you're sitting there, if you're Haverford, thinking you have a good chance to go and walk this thing off. But then that was not what Episcopal had planned. They came in, got a couple runners on. Dylan Walls had a 2-run triple to blow it open, make it 9-7. And then they were able to get another run. I think it was a JD Amoroso single to make it 10-7. Okay. And Hunter West, who primarily is a starter, came in and got the save. Just a huge win for Episcopal to, at the time, get them to 2-2. They fell to Malvern a couple hours ago on Friday to get to 2-3. But I think what we're seeing from Episcopal, just at the very least, is a different team from last year. I think last year they really struggled to get runs across, and their pitching was, I think, a little better. But I think this year it feels like their pitching is still good, but I think some of that power, if we're talking just like energy, just transferred over to the offense.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think they're playing a different brand of baseball, and I think they went 3-7 in the Interact last year. I mean, they're already at 2 wins, halfway through.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a little bit of a different brand, and I would say this is probably a better brand of baseball. Mm-hmm. I think that they pitched it really well last year, but I mean the offense was so non-existent for them, and now it's better. It's better. These guys are. It seems like they're. I'm sorry. It's better. It seems like they have just a lot more ability to get runs across, and that's the name of the game with offense. I don't know what they've changed. I don't know if it's approach. I don't know if it's just these guys maturing over a few years, but they've improved a lot offensively, and it's made a huge difference for them so far.
Definitely. All right. Well, I guess real quick, just talk about Haverford. 0-5 in the Interact. We knew that it was going to be tough. You're losing Ian White, you're losing Kevin Reevy, you're losing Fred Jordan, Connor Scanlon. I think that it's definitely been a lot tougher when you consider that Brenner Green was supposed to be the ace on this staff, and then he had a season-ending hip surgery. It's just a huge blow, both the offense and the pitching staff as well. Jacob Horwitz, I think, is doing pretty well, but it's hard coming off of Tommy John as a junior to expect to come in and just be the ace in such a good conference like this. So I think for Haverford, I think this is a bit of like a retool year. It's Jack McCann's first year. You got a ton of returning talent. I think Owen Murphy is ranked as a top 10 pitcher in the state for the freshman class. I think Zach Lawler, I saw 6'6" as a freshman, which is hilarious. Jaden Rivera's back next year. I think that they got a lot of good returning talent coming back in the course of like the next couple years. So I don't expect this, downward trend to stay going downward. I think they're going to be back on the rise coming soon, but it's just obviously with the way the PESA goes, like I think every team makes the bracket. So you get things right by the playoffs, who knows, but it just feels like this year just isn't their year right now.
Yeah. The more and more you watch it, the more and more it does feel that way. And like you said, I don't think it's going to stay that way. There's too much young talent there for that to be the case. These guys a lot of these guys have been, some of them thrown into these opportunities this year, and maybe have struggled a little bit. They're going to grow. They're going to get better, and that team's going to be back to where it normally is. But yeah, I think this might just. Not even a lost year, but just more of a wash.
It's a learning year. I guess you can put it like, like if you're Owen Murphy, like I know this sucks right now, like, but you're a freshman throwing mid-80s. Like most situations, you're probably on JV developing. You're getting this experience. I know, sometimes it doesn't go great on the field, but when he's a junior, senior, like he's gonna, look back and realize that it's good experience. So all right, that will wrap up our games here. So as mentioned, this is being recorded on Friday because there's a game on Sunday that we just won't be able to get the show out in time. So we don't have the power rankings. We don't have the player of the week. I'd like to think, unless someone throws a no-hitter for O'Hara, that Luke Hunter's probably our pitcher of the week. I mean, that's the bar. Like you need to throw a no-hitter or better or a perfect game to get that pitcher of the week. As for the hitter of the week, that's still kind of up in the air. I mean, we've seen games where I don't think Michael Coleman was in the running it was Jaden Rivera wasn't in the running, but he hit 2 homers on a Saturday, and it's like, well, you're the player of the week now. So we'll hold off on that as well as the power rankings. But our new segment, I do have, Ben, I have a question of the week added on. I don't know if I mentioned that. Who has the best uniform set in Delco baseball?
So I feel like the obvious answer is Bonner, but
I think that's a good answer.
I will go I think that probably is the answer, but I'll go and let me think of like a good.
I will say I'm not the biggest fans of the black jerseys for Bonner, especially. I think it's more just how good the white pinstripes and the Kelly greens look. That I think the blacks are just. I think they're a good uniform, but like if I was Bonner, me personally, I'd wear the white pinstripes every home game and Kelly green with gray at home or on the road. But I don't think they look bad.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. We'll go out, and we're talking full uniform set.
Okay.
I think the Haverford public pinstripes look great. I'm not the biggest fan of white hats. Just my personal preference, just not my favorite. Let's see. I think Marple's got some clean sets. I like their black jerseys to go with the pinstripes. Let's see.
I think Marple would be my pick outside of Bonner.
Episcopal always looks clean, but again, I think they have the white hats, which again, just personal preference, just not my favorite. I thought Interborough looked pretty good.
I was going to say, I like the black and gold. I don't think it's a set. I think it's just a uniform for them. Mm-hmm. They have one, which is what I think most teams have.
Yeah, I think
they do a good job with that one. They're sneaky. I think that might be Interborough might be like the most underrated.
Yeah, I think I like the colors. I like the Sun Valley blue and gold. I think that plays. I think their uniforms are solid. Still don't really know what a Vanguard is, besides like the insurance agency or whatever investment firm. I don't even know what it is. I just know our Wayne owner Chuck Freeman worked there for a while. But yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think off the top of my head anybody else that I would throw in there. The thing is, I like Pencrest pinstripes, but I'm not a fan of the gray jerseys. If you're gonna do gray jerseys, I think you have to do gray pants. That's kind of my take.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I'm trying to think. There's so many like maroon and just.
Yeah, I like the Haverford school. I like the Haverford schools. They got the pinstripes. I like the gold numbers on there, and they got I'm gonna call it burgundy.
Yeah,
red, maroon. I remember talking to now Devon Prep assistant coach, but at the time Harvard School assistant coach Joe Martin. He's like, we don't even know what to call it. It's so hard to find the exact shade of like red, maroon, burgundy, whatever you want to call it.
I'd say O'Hara's got some decent ones too.
I like the white ones better.
The whites are clean.
Yeah,
the whites are really clean.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, while we think of some more, I'm going to get our Quick shout out to our guys over at the Longen Group here. They are an insurance company that offers insurance solutions and risk management strategies for businesses, individuals, and families that's tailored to meet your unique needs. You can buy insurance anywhere, but at Longen Group, they build a relationship with you and advise you as your needs evolve. They offer homeowners insurance, auto, life, business insurance, especially like contractors, electricians, plumbers, HVAC, painters, landscapers, any type of contractor. You can give Charlie a call, 610-724-9717. He'll take your calls during business hours, but if they're after business hours, you better make sure Friend Central's not playing because he's not picking up the phone if the Phoenix are going. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, no, that's it's got more important fish to fry.
He's been calling pitches a long time. He coached at Bonner. I believe he coached at Carroll too. I think was the other school that they mentioned. Great guy. We got to meet with him for breakfast to talk about everything about maybe 2 weeks ago. I think that was last Monday. So nice meeting him. Look forward to. I think I'm going to be able to make it out to the Friends League Championship again. A conference that does a championship. Go figure. Or they'll probably play Shipley, so that'll be fun.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I think that's all we got. I think all right. I guess we'll tie into that question of the uniforms with give me one uniform set. Doesn't have to be their full teams, like one uniform.
One really good uniform.
Yeah, just one uniform. Even as a Strathaven alum, I liked our old, like the ones that were there when I was there. We didn't even have white jerseys. We have black ones now. I think I'm still going Bonner's Kelly Greens. But if I'm gonna go a little off the grid, I'm gonna try and go non-pinstripes because all the pinstripes look good in my opinion. I think everybody looks good with the pinstripes. I like I don't know if they still have them this year. I liked Garnet had their alternates that said the Valley.
Those are cool. I did
cool.
like those.
Yeah.
What?
We're getting close to the Eagles pick. Again, this is Friday night, so we're in the second round of the NFL draft. Shador Sanders has still not been drafted yet, which I mean personally, like I think he's
kind of crazy. I don't think it was a first round quarterback, but I thought that was kind of
like if his name was Shador Johnson, I don't think people would be this, in an uproar about it.
I'm still trying to cook up a good because I
really like the Haverford School maroon-ish.
Yeah, those are good. Those are.
I think if Episcopal wore navy blue hats all the time with their blue jerseys, I'd probably go with that. It's just clean.
Mm-hmm. That's a good. I used to like the Upper Darby ones. They used to have some nice, like the purple and gold. I forget what they had.
I like their old.
Yeah, their old ones were better.
Like my parents both went there, and it was more of like retro LA Kings colors.
Yeah.
But all right, final answer.
Final answer. I'm gonna go with. I'll give Interborough a shout out. Why not?
Why not?
I like the black and gold.
Yeah, not many people do it. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in. Sorry we didn't have the rankings and the players of the week, but if you follow us on socials, you'll be able to see it. This will come out Sunday night, so it'll be out Monday morning. I don't expect to have too many more Sunday afternoon games here, but we're getting in the stretch run. I feel like the month of April always flies by. Like March kind of starts off a little slow, us getting back into it. April flies by, and the next thing you know, in a couple of weeks we'll be talking playoffs. But as always, Ben and I appreciate you taking the time to listen. I think earlier in this episode, I probably put in a little ad for our new rope hats. Not this one. You can't have this one. This one's not on sale at the moment. But we do have rope hats for all of our teams. So make sure to go and get one of those. But as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Our game of the week, I guess I can slip that in here right now. We're going to be heading to Conestoga. We got Lower Merion and Conestoga both making their game of the week debuts, both having great seasons this year. Are we going to get some crap from them both technically being out of Delco? Maybe deservedly so.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. We're looking forward to another good week, and thank you for listening.